What a gorgeous end to May. I think it's the 27th today. This is probably like the first day that it actually feels like there's going to be a summer and it's not going to freeze tonight, and I can shut the heat cables off under the seedlings, and I can start sifting some soil from up here to put into a couple of our new raised beds. Now, I know probably some of you are like me, and you've watched a lot of these YouTube videos on how to build a trommel or a soil sifter. Well, this contraption here is my attempt, and we'll take a trip around it here in a bit, but the base was an old composter. And I just tore that down and retrofitted it to make it work on my drum here. And then the motor, my old windshield wiper motor, bicycle sprocket, alternator pulley serpentine belt motor that I use to power some of my rotating composters was on that composter. So I'm using that to turn this drum. And then I got the whole business sitting on top of our garden cart. So everything that we want to transport down there falls into it. Now it's not ideal because I got to lift this bugger on and off by myself, which isn't awful, but you know, it would be better with two people. So I'm just going to plug this thing in and show you how it works. Now I'm going to start out on low, the slow speed, and we'll see how that works. It really turns slow, which is okay. It's you know, if I'm working here by myself, I don't mind. Now what we're putting in here was scraped off from this area last spring, and it was years and years and years of leaves and straw that we pulled off our septic tank in the spring, and grass clippings and cardboard underneath it and everything else. Well, I scraped it all up with the tractor and piled it up here, and of course the quackgrass took over. So this spring I covered it with chopped leaves, and that part of it as a tarp, but it still needs to be screened to make it usable to put in our raised beds. So you can see on low, this thing is slowly making its way down, and if I'm not in a hurry, I don't care. But if I crank it up on high speed, which isn't terribly high, but things happen a lot faster. I mean, still not all that fast. And I see a lot of people make these things, they really wheel around. But I think slow and steady, and if I see debris in there that I want to pull out of there, I'll just walk back and pull it out. But it works just fine. So I'm gonna shut this thing off and we'll take a little tour around this thing. Okay, so here's the end where everything comes tumbling out, and I just put a piece of polyethylene plastic over here to help scoot it out of there. But all the rocks, and you can see that's what's tumbling out of there. And then this is what we end up with, which is just beautiful stuff. Okay, so here's our, you've seen this before if you've seen my videos on the composters, but that's just a windshield wiper motor, a 2-speed motor, and we'll start over here on this side. Okay. Okay, so the windshield wiper motor, again, has a rear sprocket from a kid's bike attached to it. And since all wiper motors and all kids' bikes are a little bit different, there's no one way to do that, but I explain it in a handout that I have on how to build these things. And I can get that to anyone who's interested. But then I use the hub from a bicycle. I cut the pedal off on this side and leave the sprockets. And then on the other side, I take the pedal off and then attach a alternator pulley from a car. Now again, all alternator pulleys are different. All bicycle hubs are different, so there's no one way to do it. But I square a washer, because that's a square shaft. I square I believe it's a 9/16 washer, I'd have to look that up, and attach that to the, you can't see it, to the inside of that pulley. And so I just cut the hub off the bicycle. I just use either a reciprocating saw or a metal cutting blade on an angle grinder. And then that's just a serpentine belt. You find one that'll fit, that'll go around. That's just a bicycle rim. And then these two, wait till we focus here. Come on, there we go. These two are bicycle rims. And then I just have 3 pulleys, 2 on the bottom and then 1 on the top. It keeps it tracking straight. And they're just riveted on with 3/16 rivets. And then I just use flat washers, fender washers, as washers for the rivets to hold it all together. And then did the same thing on this end. And then this top board that holds that top caster on, I have a hinge on there, and then there's a screw, one screw in here so I can raise it and lower it, and I can adjust the tension on that. That's probably overkill, I don't know. Okay, but then, since the motor is a 12-volt motor, I had to get a adapter that converts it to 110, and I had to find one. I just went on Amazon. I found one that will handle 5 amps. And then I just put a toggle switch on there, a 2-way switch, because it's a 2-speed motor. I wanted to have the option of operating in the 2 speeds. And then I just run power 100 feet from the summer kitchen up here. Again, that's not ideal, but the other option, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool, is that a person could operate, if you wanted to run composters or one of these things off-grid, and you just wanted to use a 12-volt battery that was charged with a solar panel, that would work pretty slick. So, not a terribly long video here, thankfully for you. But these are the 2 beds that we're filling, and we'll put a couple more loads in each one, and then they'll get each probably one of our barrels of compost that have been in the composters since last fall. So, until next time, this is Mark with Backwood Basics. So let's grow together.